The revolution's begun. The time to stand up has come. We are the rocking of the throne. We are the rocking of the throne.
I'm Victor Tiffany with Citizens Against Plutocracy, talking today with CFAR-signing candidate Dr. Paul Knupp. He's a Green Party candidate in Iowa's, I believe, 1st District or 3rd District, Paul?
Third District.
3rd District. Thank you for joining me.
Sure. Thank you for having me on here, Victor.
Of course. Why don't we begin by you just tell voters a little bit about yourself. Who's Dr. Knupp and why are you running for Congress?
Okay, thank you. I was born and raised in Youngstown, Ohio, in a union family, and I went to seminary in New Jersey, and people from Iowa came and recruited ministers there. So I came out and 40 years ago and worked in Keosauqua, Iowa, in a church there. That brought me to Iowa. And since then, I've worked in 12 churches in Iowa, 12 different ones, for a number of different denominations. And I've always been interested in politics. And finally, this last time, after President Trump was elected, I thought, well, this might be my last chance to try to make an inroad because I'm getting older myself. And so I thought, well, I'll give it a try. So I figured I knew enough about national and international politics to make a contribution in Congress, more so than at the state level. I think it's an advantage to be state-born if you're in the state house, whereas with more national offices, I don't think it's as crucial in that case.
Okay, and explain to people why you signed the contract for American Renewal.
Well, because I really think that the two parties especially have dominated the political scene, the Democrats and the Republicans, to the extent that they've not only dominated it, they've excluded everyone else, and they pretty much sucked up all the money that's available to use in politics. And that really bothers me because, unfortunately, I learned that it takes a lot of money to run for office, especially Congress. And I don't have that, nor do I have supporters that can bankroll me like the Koch brothers can bankroll the Republican Party, for instance. And George Soros can bankroll the Democratic Party. And then other state citizens that can do the same thing. So I really think that they've kind of squeezed out the popular voice of the American people as a result. And they don't really care about it. It doesn't make any difference. We're just kind of like pawns in the political environment, we citizens, and our opinions and our ideas are not really taken into account. So that's why I like your organization, and I think you're right on track. We're going to need you for the future. So thanks for your work.
Well, appreciate that, and appreciate your efforts as well. The contract has a number of big ticket items, some very expensive stuff: free college, massive infrastructure platform, and of course, Medicare for all. Are you basically a tax and spend liberal?
Close, except I'm more of a Robin Hood liberal, which means I really want to heavily tax the upper 1%. I am not interested in taxing the middle class any more than it already is taxed at all. So I am opposed to middle class tax increases, and I'm very much in favor of 1% tax increases. When President Eisenhower was in office, the tax rate for the upper 1% was 90%. Ours right now, President Trump just lowered it down to 35, I think. So we've got a long gap there between what it was and what it is today. And there are a couple economists that are university professors, Victor, that have written papers arguing that a 90% tax rate in a society is better for the society than a lower rate. So I ascribe to that view, and they convinced me, and I think that's correct.
Okay, and of the 11 policy positions that are listed on the contract, which ones do you plan on using the most when you're either on the stump, or if you could get into a debate with your opponents? Which ones are you going to focus on and campaign on more than the others?
That's a great question. As I calculate that, I can say this Saturday we do have a debate in Marnie, Iowa, which is a little town of 120 off of Highway 80 in Cass County. It's a debate about how to revive rural Iowa. So I'll be there Saturday morning for that. I think it starts at 10 o'clock at the community center there on Washington Street. And the ones that I would emphasize the most, I'm a real fan of Medicare for all. So that's an important one to me. I'm on Medicare myself now, believe it or not. I'm old enough to be on Medicare, and I am just amazed at how efficient the Social Security office and part of government is. How they communicate very well. They do what they say they're going to do. They're not very quick, but as long as you're patient, it all turns out really well. So I think we need to expand Medicare, though, Victor, because it doesn't cover dental and it doesn't cover eye care. So those two are very important, as you can imagine, for yourself and other people. We need to have those as part of the Medicare picture. So I would expand Medicare to everybody, and that would be one of my crucial things. The other one would be, I think we need to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. I also think that we need to guarantee an income for every American. It's called the Universal Basic Income. A lot of people are in favor of it. It was tried in the past, but it wasn't very well received. But I think we need to revive that notion. So I really would like to, Victor, to give the kind of sum it up. I want to eliminate worldwide poverty, worldwide hunger, and worldwide homelessness. Well, in order to do that, I want to start with our own country and get those three issues taken care of so that we can move on to the rest of the world and take care of those there as well. Okay,
very good. How do you expect to actually deploy this contract? Let's say you got a debate coming up. Are you going to bring it up? Are you going to challenge your opponents to sign it, knowing full well that they won't because they're either conservatives or neoliberals? Are you going to use it in press conferences or when you're on the stump? How do you plan on actually deploying the contract for American Renewal?
Well, ironically, that's what I was going to ask you, Victor, because I want to use it wherever best serves the organization. So you tell me where to use it, and I'll be happy to use it there. I'll take it with me Saturday, and if
good start. If you get to use it, if you get to show a document or whip it out of your pocket during the debate, that might be handy. I'm going to refer you to a bunch of videos, these same interviews where the candidates answer that question one after another. You can go through those videos. Okay. But one that I thought was interesting was from Tim Canova, who was one of the earlier signers of the contract for American Renewal. He's running as an independent against Debbie Wasserman Schultz. And he told our interviewer that he was going to pull it out of his pocket during a debate, slap it down in front of her, and challenge her to sign it. So that would be one idea. And other candidates have had other ideas in these interviews, and I'll provide a link to this one when we get it up on YouTube, and then you can look at the other candidates and get their answers. It's always near the end of the interview, so save you time from going through all the interviews from previous ones. You also put a link to it on your website. Some people put a picture of their contract if you can scan it and then display it as a JPEG. That some people do that.
That's a good idea.
So finally, tell voters why they should vote for Paul Knupp and not David Young or Cindy Axne, the Republican and Democrat in the race, respectively.
I think it's the same old when we whether we vote for the Republican or the Democrat. We don't get enough. It's some change. They're not exactly the same, but the change is minuscule. It just is not significant enough to really invigorate our country and our citizenry and to make the changes necessary that we need for the future, Victor. I don't think it's going to happen. With me, there are no other Greens in Congress right now. So I don't know what I'd do. I might join the Democratic caucus or try to, or the Republican. I don't want to rule that out. But I want to find like-minded people that, regardless of party, want to accomplish the major changes we both envision for the United States of America. I think we can do it. I'm an eternal optimist, and I will be till the day I die. And I'd like to spend some of that time in Congress getting some things done that benefit us and benefit the world. So that's why I hope people will vote for me, because I think the choice, if you don't vote for me, is not very good between the other two. You remember when Barry Commoner was running for president, Victor, years ago?
I do, under the Citizens Party, yep.
Yeah, Citizens Party. And he had a commercial, and he said, Democrat, Republican, bullshit. It's all the same thing.
There you go.
Yeah. So
some critics refer to the political duopoly, that the two parties are so much alike on financial and economic matters that they function as one party, and then use social issues to divide us between the two parties.
that's it. I think you nailed it, Victor. That's exactly it. They both treat Wall Street the same. So I mean, there's no difference there on economic matters. So.
And Wall Street treats them the same by and
That's
large,
true.
with ample funding.
Right.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time, and I'll let you know when this is up on YouTube. And thanks for this opportunity.
Thank you, Victor, so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Revolt Against Plutocracy won't just be covering the news about the necessary revolution in the United States. Sometimes we'll be making the news. If you want to stay on top of the revolutionary actions and strategies of grassroots, genuine progressives, and our allies, please subscribe to our YouTube channel today.